What's going on, everybody? It's Tuesday night, just after 9 p.m. Eastern, outside Toronto, Ontario, Canada, July 26, 2022, and he's back! He survived his trip to, nowhere land, everywhere land, I don't know, wherever the hell he went. Kieran's in the house. What's going on, dude?
Well, I'm unmuted. Not too much. Had a really good trip. Really fun. Got to kind of learn a little bit about the history of my family, which was cool. That's kind of been a good part of the reason why I wanted to go to New Brunswick, where my last name Gogan is like super. It's like Smith over there. So yeah, it was really cool to do that and see museums and go to the Bay of Fundy and go to PEI. It's awesome. Really good.
It looked like a lot of fun. It looked, you go to that side, not that I've ever been, but I'm just going off pictures and videos. You go to that side of Canada, and it's pretty astonishing, the views you get.
Yeah, well, I mean, we live in the most un-Canadian part of Canada. We live in the part that's like a big North American city, right? Whereas you drive 2 hours west or 2 hours east, and you get what most of Canada is like really stretched out, awesome, beautiful land, super green, like great stuff. Obviously, in Canada you can get mountains and stuff like that as well, and all sorts of other stuff. But like where we live is like the most un-Canadian part. So like you go out to those places and you get to kind of feel what being like a Canadian, you get to find out a little bit more about it. Everyone I met was awesome. Like, it's awesome. I talked to so many people, even the people who only spoke a little bit of English were like just super friendly. And it was kind of a shock. Like when I went to a water park in PEI, and there was a ton of teenagers and kids there. 0 kids just hanging out on their phones.
That's fucking awesome.
I saw almost no one staring at their phones. I was the person who they're like, what the fuck is with this guy? Won't stop looking at his phone. Like,
so
I don't know. It was really cool and relaxing, and I had a great time.
I'm driving home, and this is like a week ago, and I see kids playing road hockey. Like, I never see kids playing road hockey anymore. And I was the guy that would go out and play road hockey 4 or 5 days a week, all the time. Even though I didn't have a backyard, grew up in an apartment building, I'd still go play road hockey. And like, I found myself just sort of watching the kids play hockey and being kind of mesmerized by it. And I thought, you know what? Maybe it's not a good idea to sit here and watch these kids play road hockey. Someone might get the wrong idea. Let me get the hell out of here. So, but it's awesome. There's not enough of that. I get it. Look, it's 2022. These things aren't going anywhere. They're just going to become more prominent. But let's find some time to get out and do some shit. The one thing I've been talking to Kieran about doing lately, it's not, hey, let's go watch a movie or let's do this. I've been bugging him about going go-karting. Like, let's be active. Yes, a fat guy is saying let's be active, but I legitimately like going out and doing things. So it's easy to get sucked into our screens and not get out and experience certain things. So also joining us tonight, he is the co-host of a show we're going to talk about in a few minutes. He's also the co-host here of the Phantom Empire show. It's Mr. Bish. What's going on, man?
Not much, man. Good to be off work, hanging out with you guys. Thanks to everybody tuning in the chat. It's always good to kick back here on Tuesday nights and just kind of have some fun and kind of detox from real life for a few minutes or a few hours, whatever the case may be. So good to be here, man.
Nothing like a form of escapism. Also joining us, he's fading in and out of the shadows. He's somewhere down there. He is the host of Bros Before Pros Gaming over on Twitch. And you got a football podcast, but I've forgotten the name because it's been forever since you guys did anything. So maybe tell people the name and what's going on.
The Inside Handoff Football Podcast. We're going to be bringing that back here in the next few weeks or so. Once we get into the heart of training camps, preseason, we'll bring it back. I'm excited.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So we have a bit of a lineup for everybody tonight. It's not going to be your typical structured show because usually we get to the big topics first and save some of the other topics for the end. And big topics meaning Halloween. We're going to talk Halloween pretty quickly here out of the gate, but we're not going to spend too much time on Halloween tonight. If you guys want to bring the chat back to Halloween, then just comment in the chat and we'll answer the questions as we have time to go over some Q&A. But tonight, like, it's been a pretty monumental time in wrestling. So we're going to talk a lot about that. There was 2 massive Avengers films announced, and I know that some of you guys down here are big Marvel fans. So wouldn't be right to not talk about that. And then we got a little treat that only Kieran has gotten to see. So we're going to show that off too. But before we get into anything, in just a few short weeks here, that's scary saying it like that. My fiance and I are going to have a baby girl. It could be a week from now, which would suck because the baby shower and the diaper party is more than a week from now. But it's very possible she's at that point. So whenever that happens, my free time goes from how little it is already to even less. So one of the things that we were talking about prior when we thought this was going to happen was that we would do more pre-produced content on the channel, not just like short videos, but actual pre-produced full-length shows, podcasts, episodes, whatever you want to call them. And we have taken the steps to make that possible. Now, they're not all being announced today. We're waiting on someone to make his mind up about what way he's going to go with a certain thing. But aside from that, let's dive into some of these shows.
Johnny, make your own damn mind up.
We're going to... Johnny's high. He looks like it anyway. You look stoned. Secondhand fucking stuff going your way again?
Not at present. No. It's tired. Just tired.
Johnny's probably been more high than all of us. I can see it. I've been over there. I can see it. Anyway, let's dive into this. So we got 3 brand new shows launching towards the back half of August. The first one is, it's this. It's the Overlook Drive-In. It's a movie review show by Mike Bish and I. We're both pretty big Shining fans, so the Overlook was a nice little nod that we did there. But the show's going to have sort of a retro feel to it. It's going to not necessarily feel like something from today, although we won't just be covering movies from like the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. We will be doing new movies as well. The show has a pretty solid structure, and one of the big things with the show is what'll happen is there's actually 2 other people involved in it. Zach Arnold from House of the Empire and formerly of IPC on here is going to intro us into every show by offering the audience to look at the menu. So a menu is going to come up and open. And when the menu opens, it's going to be the movie that we're covering, and it'll have details such as who it was made by, who it was written by, who it was directed by, the studio behind it, how much it cost to make, how much it made, the Rotten Tomatoes score, and just some general thoughts. We'll go over that. And then the rest of the show is the scorecard. So think of like you're going to mini putt. You're going to mini putt and you look at the scorecard. The scorecard comes up and it actually has, I believe it's 5 or 6 different topics. And each of those topics has a rating beside it. And Mike and I and whoever will be joining us on certain episodes will have to go through filling out our score for each movie. Now, this isn't a live watch along. We will watch these movies prior to reviewing them. But it's just kind of a cool little movie review and rank show that we thought of with a retro feel to it. Mike, you want to say anything, dude?
First off, I just want to say, Sean, you did a really good job on that graphic.
It's supposed to be a mock-up.
jump. I know. But I like the color scheme. I like everything they did with it. So I was like, yo, let's just keep that. So really excited to do this though. We got some good movies on tap, especially to kick off into October and through October. So man, I'm just very excited for it. It's going to be good to have another consistent show on the channel, and it's going to do great.
Dean Renner, who you see in the chat here, is gonna play a bit of a producer role on that show when he's able to provide some audio commentary. He will. That won't be all the time, but he will. And he'll also be sharing the show around and active in the chat. Now, even though these won't, most of the time it won't be live streams. If Mike and I somehow have availability one time to do a live stream here and there, it's possible. But most of this content's meant to be pre-produced content. However, when it goes up, we'll make sure it goes up as like a live debut. And if one of us can be in the chat, then we'll try to be. No guarantee, but we'll try to be. So you will be able to communicate with us in the chat. And we actually already have our first movies on the docket here for this thing. And that is, we're going to start with The Shining on August the 22nd. I Know What You Did Last Summer on August the 29th. Hush, September 6th. Jaws in IMAX, September 13th. That comes out, I believe, North American wide, September the 2nd. Jaws in IMAX. And I believe E.T.'s like August 12th. Something like that. So we're going to go see that and then give our thoughts on it. And then I've never seen Quiet Place 1 or 2. And there's September 20th and September 27th. So we're going to check those out. So be on the lookout for the Overlook drive-in soon. The other thing we got coming is with the lack of free time that I'm going to have to actually do live. Sorry, I need to check this. I don't know if I'll have time to, if you're listening to this, I don't know if I'll have time to put that up. We're kind of in a bit of a tight go here. Also coming is a new Star Wars podcast. It's basically Ian and I again. I'm not nearly clever enough to come up with this name, so it was not me. He came up with Moose Too Far, a Star Wars podcast, which for those of you that don't get the joke, that's Mustafar. And Moose Too Far stands for two Canadians that are too far apart. He's in Korea and I'm in Canada, and it's got a Canadian flavor to it. So it's just basically what we've been doing before, different name. We'll record Mondays and we'll show you which, it'll be weekly though, instead of it just going to Patreon sometimes and now and then on the YouTube page, it will be weekly on the YouTube channel. However, we're not going to be able to cover live, like breaking news over on that show. We're going to have like 7 or 8 episodes already banked. I think we got 4 episodes of House of the Empire still banked now. So for breaking news stuff, the Fan of Empire show is still the way to go. And last but not least, which might come to a bit of a surprise to some of the guys on the panel, unless he's already talked to them about it. This little experiment has worked out quite well. Jer is bringing the Dark Match Drive to the channel, not just a closing segment on the Fandom Empire show, but a actual show on the Fandom Empire YouTube channel. If you're a wrestling fan, check that out. We're not going to dive like super headfirst into this thing. We haven't even had a chance to talk to Johnny about it because he's impossible to reach sometimes. But we're just going to sort of dip our toes in, see how the numbers are, see how the audience engagement is, and if you guys want more, then we'll proceed to lengthen their episodes. But right now, you're looking at about a 20 to 30 minute wrestling show once a week on the channel, covering the mainstream stuff, AEW, WWE, and I believe Jerry said the intention is to also cover Ring of Honor. So yeah, we got 3 new shows in the fold, a 4th one hopefully soon, even if it's seasonal. If they make up their mind, I can't remember the names of the people who created Rick and Morty, Kieran, but we're hoping that comes back anyways at some point in time.
Yeah, I don't know if I guess I didn't mention it on here yet or not, but there was a date floated out there for November, but it quickly got kind of buried, and I don't know if it's true. None of the real big places reported it, so still no idea when it's coming back. And to be honest, like it really is killing me as a Rick and Morty fan. Like it's and I don't mean killing me like, oh man, I really need to see it. It's really making me think like, well, who gives a fuck now? and that's, as big of a fan as I am of Rick and Morty, that's, you can't do that to your fans. It's too much. It's crazy.
You don't know Pain. Pain is just being a Sherlock fan, as those shows were airing. That's Pain.
Weren't they like 3 years in between seasons or something? I guess Stranger Things just had that, right? Right. So, but obviously through different means. I think Sherlock was normally a pretty long gap.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you guys did that. I couldn't stay attached to be like, okay, cool, limited series, and then eventually get back to it.
The problem is the quality. They were so good that you could, that you would be willing to wait between them because they were that good. But still.
Mike and I haven't figured it out yet, but I know we briefly discussed being able to do a watch along here or there for the Overlook Drive-In. Might be a Patreon thing where those of you that are already on our Patreon can vote on like a movie for us to do, and we can do that movie and watch it together one night. It won't be often, maybe once a month, but there's our schedule coming up, though. Mondays will be the Overlook Drive-In, Tuesdays the Phantom Empire show, and House of the Empire until House of the Dragon is over. Thursdays is Moose Too Far, a Star Wars podcast, and Fridays is Dark Match Drive. Now, whenever Dark Match Drive gets going, if that's doing well enough, Johnny and Jer are smart guys. They can figure their way around StreamYards. If they want to end up doing more with that, they will have the flexibility to do that in time. So that could end up being some live stream stuff eventually. But right now, it'll just be pre-recorded for now. Max Elliott says, Sean, we need a Terrence show. I reached out to his agent and told me to get bent. So I think he's doing the MJF. Might be bargaining for more money elsewhere. But I think Terrence would be hilarious on here. Terrence is hilarious on here. Terrence is always hilarious on here. But anyways, there are shows, and the channel's going to be changing. It's a different look moving forward, and I hope everybody is excited. And if there's anything more to add to it, whether it's regards to a Terrence or a Rick and Morty fan show, returning will depend on, if there's a Rick and Morty season, because I believe Kieran's intent was to go seasonal with that, which is what we're doing for House of the Empire. By the way, I just want to address this because this was a random one. We've never had this before. I know I've been talking forever. I'm going to shut up and let these guys talk. Two of you, fairly new patrons, were asking us if we cover Sons of Anarchy, or if we ever talk about Sons of Anarchy. I don't know what Mike thinks of the series, but I know the other three of us quite like Sons of Anarchy. Now it's over and done for now. It's over and done for now, but it's definitely something we might be able to do on our Patreon, or if there's enough demand to it. As weird, I got 2 messages in the span of a week. Hey, would you guys ever do anything with Sons of Anarchy? I love Sons of Anarchy. It's fucking great. So we'll have to wait and see. All right. Fun little treat for Halloween fans. For those of you that have been following the channel for a long time, we have been recording a fan film for 2+ years now called Haddonfield the Vanished. We have literally just in the last couple of days come up with an idea on how to release this. And it's going to be some breadcrumbs, and you follow the breadcrumbs until you get to the actual thing. There's one big sequence we still want to shoot, but for that, we've been working with someone who has been creating a mask for us. And this hasn't just been the last couple of days. We've been in talks. It's got to be almost a year now that we've been going back and forth. And this is a slightly altered image with the coloring, but it's what the intent is, and the mask is real, as is the work on the mask. But here is the mask that we're going to be using for that shoot. And he also does, custom rehauls and stuff. So if you want something done, or even if you like this one, maybe he might be able to get a hold of more of this mold. It's not your typical Halloween mask, though. So here it is. It's obviously missing the hair. The hair will get added.
Here, I thought you were about to make some big, bold, bald statement.
So our friend Chris, who is a longtime patron, longtime supporter of the channel, has really backed us up on basically everything we have done here at the channel. Has been working on this H4 mask, and the reason for this is, if you remember, Haddonfield the Vanished is sort of loosely a sequel to Halloween 4, and we're going to come full circle with this mask to close things out. And that's not the final design. There's a couple more things that are being done to it. But yeah, Kieran, you got to take a look at a bunch of these masks. What do you think of it, man?
It looks pretty good. Like I like the shape. No pun intended. I mean, obviously, I'd like to see it with hair on and everything, but looks good. Looks good. I hope it's comfortable.
Yeah, Mike, you're a big Halloween guy. What do you think of the mask, man? I know the H4 mask is not a mask liked by many, and I think Chris has taken that clean white mask and really created something with it.
Yeah, I like it, man. Very interesting. I can't wait to see what the small little tweaks are coming that still got added to the mask, plus the hair. But it looks really, really good. I like it a lot.
It's funny because him and I haven't talked about the hair yet, and I have a question for him about the hair that he might be frustrated with. But my intent is to not use the Halloween 4 hair with that mask. So it's sort of like a Frankenstein Halloween mask, if you will. But yeah, if you're looking to get your mask rehauled, or you want work done on a mask you don't own at the moment, but want to purchase, then contact Chris on Instagram, ChrisC_78, or Twitter at ChrisC_78. It's appreciated, man. Can't wait to see what it looks like when it's all said and done. Fellas, Halloween ends.
Well, let's ask everyone their opinions about the mask, but me.
Oh, sorry, I forgot you were even here, to be honest. I'm not lying. I forgot you were here. What
Thanks.
is your opinion on the mask?
I'm wondering if Michael's dad has ever offered to sell me propane and propane accessories.
Huh?
The mask looks like Bobby Hill.
I see it. But I'm
King
sure
of the
the
Hill
hair
joke.
will kind of get rid of that.
Okay, the kid.
The kid.
Yeah.
Yes.
I rarely watch that
Bobby.
show, but now it looks like, he's got stubbles on top of it. But yeah, the hair will get rid of that. Way to go, Johnny. Way to go.
Once it's seen, it cannot be unseen. And once I
Okay.
see it, everyone must see it. Those are the rules.
We will take a look at the comments here in a section. But Halloween ends, fellas. I feel like we just talked about this. I feel like this just happened, and for whatever reason, it's happening again. Halloween ends. Now, I don't know if it was tonight, or if it's tomorrow, or if it's soon, or if it's already happened, because I've been way the fuck too busy since about Friday. But Halloween Ends is having a test screening in Vegas. And this time, instead of hiding the title and just asking you guys if you like Halloween movies or certain Blumhouse movies, the test screening was actually labeled Halloween Ends. So there's obviously going to be a bunch of Halloween fans at this test screening. The interesting thing of note that I did finally get a hold of today is, I think it was yesterday, pardon me, is apparently one of the things they're looking at is, even though they reshot the ending, and for those of you that, I believe it's everybody on this panel that knows the reshot ending, I thought, you spend that much money, you go and you do that ending, you're going to use it. Well, maybe not. So we'll have to wait and see. And that's the interesting thing about that, is if they use the other ending or any of the other endings, it's a drastically different tone than the ending that they reshot. So I did like what there's a Twitter account there. I think it's viewer Anon or whatever. I don't follow him, but people tweeted it at me and sent me DMs about it. He said that after this test screening, if there was ever any doubt of you running into spoilers before between the previous leaks and the teaser, it'll be absolutely everywhere now. Test screening aside, we haven't talked to Kieran at all about the Halloween Ends trailer. Dude, how do you feel about this movie? I mean, I don't think you know the leaks. Actually, now that I think about it,
I know some things, and some things I'm pretty clear of. I don't know very much about the ending yet. I know some people have. There's 2 different endings out there that are floating, and
2 that got
I don't
screened.
know. Anyways, that stuff I don't know about. However, the trailer I actually think is pretty good. The teaser is good because, I mean, while there is one major thing that people are making a big deal about, I feel like a lot of people that, you know, aren't the people in this chat probably won't go right over their heads. So I feel like it did exactly what we were saying. Like I was saying, hey, like, don't give away too much. You know, just give us a little bit to chew on, some interesting things. And that's what it did. Like, we saw, looks like he attacked someone in a sewer or something like that. So I'm like, okay, so what's that? And, you know, you see him fighting Laurie, and you're like, is that the end fight, or is that going to be, you know, before the flashback? Or you know, you see little things really quickly, and you're like, okay, well, where is that going to be? And unless you really dive into it and you go look at people who, you know, release, you know, breakdowns and Easter eggs and stuff like that, then a lot of it you're not really going to get. So as a casual fan, and I'm definitely probably the most casual fan out of everyone here and everyone in our audience, I was just cool. That's neat. Kind of, you know, makes me want to see it. It did exactly what I asked for. It didn't give away too much, but it showed some cool stuff. I do think, and it's funny because I think Terrence posted something along this on his TikTok. It shows Laurie way too much in that. Like, I feel like every shot is just Laurie's face. Like, there's a whole bunch of spots where you're like, Laurie's face, and then it like goes Laurie's face. And like a lot of scenes just start right away with her face doing different things.
We've heard this story before. Trailer comes out. Let's show a bunch of Jamie Lee Curtis, even though she's not the main character in the movie.
Yeah, but I mean, you can only confirm that if you know that stuff, and you know the people in the.
No, but
people don't know that, so.
No, but the problem with that is people go see the movie expecting her to be all over the movie, and she's in a lot of Halloween Ends. It's not Halloween Kills, where I think it was listed as 8 or 9 minutes of screen time. To
be fair, I mean, I know people are happy that Jamie Lee Curtis is in it, but I doubt there's a lot of people out there who are going to be like, her screen time really wasn't enough.
Oh, that was all over the place for Halloween Kills, man.
You think so?
One of the biggest complaints about the movie. Absolutely.
Oh, I guess maybe I'm just not in the right groups. I mean, I feel like people are happy she's in it and she has a role, but I don't know if people are timing her screen time and being really that upset about it. I don't know.
I'm ready to move on from Jamie Lee Curtis, if I'm being honest. I hope she kills it in this movie. But I'm like, to me, this franchise still works without her. Maybe not on the level that it's doing right now, but it still works without her. I think the best Halloween movie doesn't even have her. So that's where I fall.
Halloween 5?
Oh man, I don't get it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I've already come on here and said many times, you know, like I'm a big Loomis fan. I think Loomis is the primary antagonist, or well, I guess he'd be the protagonist, really. But anyways, you know, he's the primary nemesis for Michael that I enjoy. Laurie is great. Jamie Lee Curtis is a good actress. Got no problem with her, you know, as an actress. But like, yeah, I don't need her. I don't need her to be in Halloween.
Mike,
certainly not more than she's already been.
I'm quite enjoying this topic. Mike, where do you fall on more Halloween movies without Jamie Lee Curtis?
Well, I'm unapologetic. I love Jamie Lee Curtis a lot. Like, I go back and forth between her and Neve Campbell as my number one final girl. But I'll be the first to tell you, I think it's time to move on from Jamie Lee Curtis. If I'm being honest, I thought that Halloween H2O was a great ending to her story. I mean, obviously, that means we only get 3 films with Jamie Lee Curtis if that were to happen, but I'm perfectly fine with that. But that doesn't mean that I hate seeing Jamie Lee Curtis in these movies. I just think, her story was done. Those 3 movies, Halloween, Halloween 2, and H2O, I thought she did absolutely phenomenal in all 3. And she did great in 18. She did good for the small amount that she had in Kills, and I'm sure she'll be great in Ends. She's a great actor, or actress, and I don't know. I just think it's time to move on. And obviously, hopefully, I'm pretty positive that we will after this. But yeah, man, I think Halloween movies can survive without Jamie Lee Curtis. I think Halloween 4, I loved Halloween 4, and it didn't have obviously Jamie in it. So yeah, absolutely. I think it's the franchise would be fine without Jamie Lee Curtis. I'm kind of with you. I don't know if it'll be good, how good it would be in the box office. A lot of people like Jamie Lee Curtis, that some come out to see her. But for me personally, and I'm sure for a lot of Halloween fans, I think that's okay. I think it's okay to move on from her.
Question, Mike Bish. Yeah. Did you meet Jamie Lee Curtis before?
I did when they were filming Kills.
Okay. So my wife, we were on a road trip, and obviously we were like listening to all sorts of podcasts and stuff like that. And I was listening to like fantasy football stuff, and then she was listening to one of your like super old episodes where you were. She was listening to your podcast. She's like, "Yeah, I was talking about how we met," and then she couldn't come up with the name, and I was like, "I bet probably Jamie Lee Curtis," because she was talking about how you were talking about the Halloween films the whole time and where they were filmed. And
dude, it was it was the craziest.
She really enjoyed your podcast, by the way.
Tell her I said thank you and thank you for listening. But it was absolutely crazy. I was just visiting my aunt in Raleigh, and I was like, you know what? I know they're filming Halloween Kills, and I recently saw that they were filming in the middle of filming the hospital scenes at the hospital, so they still had all the signs up at the hospital. I was like, oh, it's like an hour and a half drive. I'm gonna drive down there, take pictures. And as I'm walking down there, I just see Jamie Lee Curtis walking her dog. And I'm like, okay, this is probably a once in a lifetime because she doesn't do a lot of conventions. She doesn't do a lot of that stuff. So I'm like, I'm going to go ask for a picture. And I went up and asked for a picture, and she was super nice. She grabbed my phone and took the selfie herself. And I thanked her, just kind of let her go on her way. I mean, I don't want to obviously take up too much of her time. She was shopping. It was a weekend day. So, but yeah, super nice. Super nice.
Awesome. Yeah. Every time I've met like someone famous, I've always been like, trying to help them keep their incognito status.
Well, she definitely was trying to be incognito. She was in all black, and I've seen so much of Jamie Lee Curtis. I'm like, I already knew who it was from the jump. She had sunglasses on, a black bucket hat, a black jacket on because it was super cold and windy down there, and I was like, okay, I know exactly who that is. I just knew. I knew exactly who it was.
One time I met. I'll try to be quick about this, but I met Rashad Evans, the UFC fighter.
Oh, I used to love him.
He was like walking around in his hotel. I was staying in the same hotel as him, and like we were walking through. There was some sort of dance competition that I believe his daughter was in, or something like that, because his daughter was dressed up in dancing stuff or whatever. She had like a coat on, but like. He was walking, you could see he was like this or whatever, and yeah, like he was walking through big crowds, but like they weren't there for that or anything. And then like I went in the elevator with him, and I was just like really quietly like, "Hey, are you Rashad Evans?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "I love your fights, man." And he was like, and then like walked out of the elevator, was like, tried to like I waited all the way till the elevator to acknowledge him because I didn't want to call him out in front of a big crowd of people.
That's awesome, and I'm glad you went about it that way because I'm sure that's the thing they hate most is getting recognized. At least most of them.
Well, especially he's there with his family, right? Like he was there. He had his daughter with him. I think his wife or girlfriend was there.
And I wasn't even gonna ask Jamie for a picture. I don't want to. And she's her own time. She was shopping, but then again, in the back of my mind, I'm like, it's probably going to be a once in a lifetime event. So
That was awesome, though, man. That's cool. That's badass. Johnny, Halloween without Jamie Lee Curtis moving forward doesn't work.
It's tough, because there's multiple ways to look at this. You know, it's track record without her, track record with her, and it's tough for Halloween versus versus some of the other ones. Like in that she's the charisma of this franchise. You know, she's the one that does the talking. You know, you see her face, her emotions, all of those things are things that she exclusively provides to the table, and you need to replace that. You know, you got away with that in 4 and 5 because you still had Donald Pleasance, who is, you know, a supremely phenomenally talented actor, and you had you know, Jamie Lloyd as a child actress who, you know, was just that, a child actress. You know, you're not expecting them to deliver the monologues, just to bring sort of that childlike innocence, and she did that in spades.
Hot take for you when you're right on this topic right now.
Okay.
Ellie Cornell as Rachel is better in H4 than Jamie Lee Curtis is as Laurie Strode in Halloween.
I can't go that far, but I was going to say you have to mention Ellie Cornell because you want to talk about moving on from somebody like Jamie Lee Curtis and trying to fill that role and fill that vibe. Ellie Cornell did absolutely phenomenal, and that's, sorry, Kieran, but one of my biggest problems with Halloween 5 is the way that they killed her off, one, so quickly, and just the way that she died. I mean, if that's the way they wanted to go for 5, they could have waited to the end of the movie, made the ending a lot better. There's just so many ways that they could have done it, and I just thought that they didn't do her character justice for what she brought to the screen, and to that franchise in such a short amount of time.
Totally.
I'd love to know the whole story behind that. I'm sure
it is. There's
kind of know it.
There's a documentary like behind the scenes. I'm sure it's like on some deleted scenes on DVD as well, but it's on YouTube, and they talk about that and just how the vibe of Halloween 5 was just kind of weird. And yeah, she talks about how killing herself, or she didn't agree with going out the way that she did, or as early as she did. So it's on YouTube somewhere. If I can find it, I'll send it to you, Kieran. It's actually pretty fucking long.
It is. It's a good documentary. It's actually H4. I believe it's the H4 documentary, but they end up going into H5 on it because of the controversy. And they wanted the creative team back from H4, but they had done H4, and H4 was fairly successful. And the Acads did the Acad thing where they couldn't get out of their own way, and they wanted a movie ready the following year. And guess what? As much as Kieran loves that movie, it shit the bed critically and financially. You can get away with one or the other, but you can't do both. And
I definitely I love the movie, but I love the movie in the way that people love movies that are are not really that great. Like I don't think they did a lot of bad. Like those the stupid sound effects when the cops come out is just like fucking. Who the fuck did this? Like is this professional or like? That shit, tons of the lines are crappy, there's just lots of bad stuff in H5.
They just had a lot of potential. A lot of potential.
I love watching it. And I loved Loomis, just like he really, really overacts in this in H5, and I love it. Like when he's like shaking, like when he's shaking the girl in her bed, like, you know where he is and you won't tell. And it's like just hilarious.
I'll tell you, dude. I would pay some money to see that SWAT scene that was deleted from H5 that Don Shanks talks about. I would love to see that.
We all thought we were getting it with the Scream Factory release. Yeah. I mean, the SWAT truck is on the fucking cover of the damn
That's
thing.
True. That's true.
And it was like, you can sort of have it on the cover. I do know it sounds like there's been some real issues on some of the footage they've recovered from those two movies. So I don't know if any of it's ever going to be properly rescued. It'd be cool. Even the some of the footage that is on the H5 extras, and even some of the other extras, like it's in real bad shape.
Sean, you have all of those, right? The ones that came out last year.
Yeah, there's 5 of them.
Have you gone through all of the special features and stuff?
Haven't even opened a single one of them. The only thing I've done is play the records. All of the movies are sealed. When I got my turntable here, I definitely wanted to play the records, and they're cool. But posters are sealed, movies are sealed. Going to, I'll have reason to open one of them soon, but definitely want to watch them. I know Kieran and I have talked about doing some Halloween watch-alongs soon as well. So,
oh, dude, Sean, nice hat.
No, I was gonna say my hat's on your wall, man.
I just fucking noticed that. Nice hat, dude.
Yeah, it is. It is indeed. Johnny, you were saying, why won't it work without Jamie Lee Curtis?
Well, I don't necessarily know that it won't work without her. You just need to find. I hate to use the word replace, but you need to find someone to successfully fill in that void. Because removing Jamie Lee Curtis, it creates a massive void. Like it's the difference between Michael Myers and Freddy Krueger. Freddy could exist without a nemesis because he was the charisma. He was the he was the wit and the humor and the emotion, and all of those things came from him. He provided everything. Whereas Michael Myers doesn't do any of those things. All he does is provides a big physical imposing structure. And as long as you've got a person who's north of 6'6", 6'7", you need a big tall person with a lot of hefty build, and anyone can play Michael Myers. It's not difficult, but not everyone can be a leading actor or actress in a horror franchise. It's a tough thing to do when you have to provide all of the emotion, and if you can't replace that with someone who can still provide that gravitas, you're screwed. You're killing it. And I think that's the difference between H2O was passable, it was good, but then you go to Resurrection, and who's there to pick up that slack? Nobody. There's nobody there. It's just an ensemble cast of meh, where what was it, Coolio maybe, or who was that? Was it whatever? It just there was nobody there to pick up that slack. You're muted.
Weird, it muted myself on my own. Interesting. What you lost me? Ensemble cast, Coolio, help me out here.
I'm saying when you go from Jamie Lee Curtis to that, you lose everything. It's the difference between H2O being an okay to good film to Resurrection being god awful.
I think the supporting cast though is a big thing too. I mean, you got
well, it is, but that's what I'm saying. Like when you're moving it from a central person, like, you still need that supporting cast, but you still need you need a pillar. You need
think about
that
the cast from Resurrection. The lead girl was really the only one that kind of held her own in a sense. Everybody else kind of dropped the ball, and I didn't think Michael was too bad in that film. Obviously, I wasn't a big fan of The Mask, but Michael himself, I forgot who played him, but he did a pretty good job in my opinion. It's just the story kind of sucked, and I just think the whole cameras and like the way that they were going for that was just a little bit ahead of their time. But yeah, I definitely get that with Resurrection.
I do think that especially in the horror genre, you do need a person that's a recognizable talent. I think that's definitely going to sell tickets in that genre specifically, because there's a big split between horror movies that are like, the A-list, and then there's like there's a lot of B crap, right? And an easy way to set yourself apart is like, look, we have a real actor in there, and oh, okay, this is a real horror film, not one of those like ones that I'm going to see in the Walmart bin for $5 later. That's a ripoff of all this bullshit. So
Yeah, and obviously and like I said, they did a great job with Ellie Cornell in 4, and could have had that potential in 5 with her. And I thought Scream, the way that they're going, obviously the whole Nev Campbell stuff, that's whatever, that's a whole different story. But I thought that they did a great job snagging Jenna Ortega for this at least 3 films that is planned out. I mean, that was a really good snag for them. So if Halloween, obviously when they move away from Jamie, if they can snag somebody like that in Hollywood that has that draw, like you were talking about, Kieran, I think that would be huge for them. Not saying that if they grab somebody smaller, it won't work like an Ellie Cornell at the time. Not saying that they can't come in and kind of shock us all, but you're going to have a lot more people want to come out, especially for that first film without Jamie Lee Curtis, if it is a great A-list name.
Yeah, I don't know if you need an A-list name, but again, when I look at Halloween H2O, and I actually have an idea I want to pitch about Halloween H2O as we get ready to leave Halloween here. Take H2O, put it beside Resurrection. Take Jamie Lee Curtis out of both movies. Can you name any of the supporting cast and where you've seen them before in Resurrection? And can you do the same for H2O? Resurrection, for me, you got Busta Rhymes and Katie Sackhoff, who plays Bo-Katan.
I can do
nothing else.
I can do the other guy who played in Save the Last Dance. His name is obviously slipped my mind, but I can. Yeah, the chef.
The chef, yeah.
And then with H2O, obviously Michelle Williams,
Josh Hartnett.
Yes. So
wasn't one of the American Pie guys in
there. I
Resurrection?
know the Dean. I've seen him in other things.
One of the American Pie guys
in Resurrection.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Is that the guy that gets pulled through the mirror?
Yep.
I can't remember.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, he gets pulled through the mirror, and I like American Pie 1 and 2 a lot.
Massive
actually.
Quality,
exactly. Exactly.
So,
exactly. But I thought his he was super corny in that film, like just doing dumb stuff, like rubbing on the blonde girl, and I don't know, just stuff that didn't fit. That I was just like, why is this even? I don't know. It's just fucking weird. And Sean Patrick Thomas, Chris, yeah, that's his name. Appreciate it.
This is my pitch for Halloween H2O, guys, because we got to move on here. I would love to see someone did the fan edit of Kenobi. They trimmed it down into like a 2 hour and 40-minute movie and replaced some of the scores and did the lighting, and it like was trending on Twitter. And I never got to see it before it got taken down. I'm sure there's ways to get it, but I would love to see someone like a diehard Halloween fan that has like this, just a top tier editor, go in and tackle Halloween H2O, because somewhere in that movie is a good movie. It's just not the one that's out there.
See, I love H2O, so I'm a really big H2O person. I like it a lot. It's pretty high on my list. And two of the problems that stick out for me is the mask, obviously, in the film. I don't know why they didn't stick with the mask in the opening scene. They should have just went that way and should have kept that, but whatever reason. And then obviously the score. I had no problem with them moving away from Haddonfield. Like, that didn't bother me at all. Honestly, I get more Halloween vibes in H2O than I did in Kills, if I'm being quite honest with you. But that's just me. I think that but yeah, those are my two problems with H2O, is the score and the mask. So if somebody can go in there and add a really great score to H2O, I mean, it sounds crazy. You're talking about just the score, but I mean, it can make a huge difference in that film.
I would cut out the CGI mask shot. Because, like, look, no one's going to be able to CG that mask and make it look good for no money. Just being honest. But I would cut the CG mask in the one shot it's in there and just deal with the mask the rest of the way. You can probably darken his eyes a bit, to be honest. That wouldn't be so hard. But I'd like to just see them darken the film altogether. Like, let's darken it a bit. It's a little too bright. Like, when we open up in that film and Mr. Sandman's playing, and you get the Joseph Gordon-Levitt's in Halloween H2O as well. Fuck. I mean, he's hardly in it, but he's there.
Poor guy.
Yeah, right. That hockey skate, man, that was sharp. Anyway, like it feels like Halloween, and it gets you right into the movie. And then it's like a Terrence what the fuck moment when we get to, not that I don't care that they go to the school. That doesn't bother me. It's just you look at the way that the beginning shot compared to the rest of the movie, and it's like, what the fuck happened?
I understand. You can still get better Halloween vibes at the school. Like it can be done. It's just like I'm with Sean, and I said it just a second ago. H2O was. I get that Halloween mystique vibe that I got from this new trailer that we got, that I got from the original, that I got from 4. You know, I got that in the opening, which pumps me up a lot more when I see it a lot sooner. So kind of not to see that throughout is a little deflating, but I'm not going to keep.
The score is the big one, man. You brought up the score, and I think if you take out that score completely and do something different with it. Now, I'm not saying go take the score from Halloween Kills. Do something that fits the movie, whether it's Halloween stuff or not Halloween stuff.
Yeah.
The score, the lighting, and chop out a couple of scenes, and I think you have a much better movie.
You know what I hate the most about that movie? When Michael's walking on the tables, like, where is she? And he's just walking over tables. It's like, just fucking go on the ground. Like, what? Why are you walking on tables? Like, what is she under?
You can't do that. That's corny. Michael crawling around on the ground, that would be too corny. I get what you're saying. It's the logical thing to do.
The tables over. That would have been much more terrifying. But he's like,
well, he finally did. He finally did. He was like, fuck this, I'm about to do it. But no, trust me, I'm with you. It's just seeing Michael on the ground crawling around. That would be kind of corny. But I'm with you. But maybe he did it on purpose. Maybe he was just toying around with Jamie. Who knows? I don't know, man. Stop talking about H2O, man. Damn it.
H2O wasn't even on the agenda, but we found a way.
I'm falling asleep to it tonight. Although, Kieran, I don't know why. I have no idea why, but like a week ago, I watched Halloween 5. Because it's such a bad movie that it's free on YouTube. And they haven't even taken it down. Like somebody just uploaded it, and they haven't taken it down. It is.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think you can watch them all.
Don't say that, Sean. You ruined it. You ruined the joke. No, I'm with you though. But no, for some reason I was just in the mood to watch Halloween 5, and I did. And I thought of you, man. I was like, I hope Kieran's having a good time on this trip. And then I got back to the movie.
Always.
Dean Renner, I can't believe they didn't put that footage on the 4K, but the source material might be shot and unusable. I mean, some of the stuff that we do get, I've seen it on YouTube and stuff and on other things, is not in very good shape. And I've seen a couple of times, yes, RIP to David Warner and who's the other one that just passed? The fella from Sopranos. What was his name?
Paul Sorvino?
Yes. Thank you, Johnny. We're at that time. Like we're at that age. We're starting to lose talent, and there's going to be probably some big names in the next 10 years that'll probably leave us. And
I mean, we got the sad news about Bruce Willis not too long ago.
Yeah, that was terrible.
I still haven't processed that one. Like it's just.
It's tragic is what it is, but we're definitely thinking about them, and we get to relive all their work that they provided us with. The good news is Hayden is still young, and we're gold there. So,
I was saying this the other day. Like this is going to happen more and more frequently to the point where we're going to be getting 2 and 3 people a day. And the reason is because there's so many more famous people than there used to be. Like, if you went back and look at the movie catalog in the 50s and stuff like that, it's like the same 10 actors did a lot of movies, and like we have so many movies, so many things out there. Pretty soon it's going to be like, there's famous YouTubers and famous people from every sport. And there's just so many famous people. Everybody's fucking famous now. So we're just going to get more and more people who pass away, and it sucks because it's sad. Some of them hit you really hard,
The Chester Bennington thing still hasn't. I mean, obviously that's a different situation, but That was the one that just sort of kind of punched me in the face and was like, yeah, any given day, for any reason, anybody can.
Mine was Kobe, dude. Like, you want to talk about shocked? I was at lunch and I couldn't finish my food because that's just man, I still get upset thinking about that. I mean, because you think about not just him, but everybody involved in that situation as well. Yeah,
daughter's friend. Yeah, it's terrible. Let's try to move on to some brighter news. By the way, Kenny, I've seen your question. I think you put it in there a couple of times. I don't know where it is now, so I can't highlight it. But this is how I've been liking Talkville. This is badass. I'm going to bring up a graphic. Talkville has been badass. If you're a Smallville fan, it's a must-watch. Tom Welling and Michael Rosenbaum are hilarious. And check out this art that I believe one of their listeners did for them. I think this is episode 2. If you're a horror fan, you should be able to appreciate it. Or a Smallville fan, too. I hope Johnny likes this.
It literally says episode 2, right? Big bold letters.
I don't know about big, and not on my screen anyway, but yeah, no, it's I think that's badass. Obviously, it's a play on Friday the 13th. Any thoughts on this, fellas?
Super dope.
Specifically?
Super dope. Could have been a better movie, but not bad.
It's an awkward choice of episode for that, like for the Friday the 13th vibe. But
I like it. I like it.
It looks like visually, it looks nice, but to me, it looks like a Supernatural poster.
You know what? I never ever caught that. But
looking at it, it looks like Sam and Dean.
Like, I know what they're going for. They're going for Clark and I think it's Lana when they're out there. Clark and Chloe. But yeah, that looks like Sam. I'm not going to be able to unsee that now. Thank you for ruining yet another thing tonight.
You're welcome.
Buddy. You're on a roll. Let's see if you can ruin this one too. Just announced at San Diego Comic-Con, we have 2 brand new Avengers movies heading your way, 2025. The second one has a lot of people wondering if certain people are going to be returning. That's been rumored for a while, but I'm going to just sort of back up here, Mike. I don't know where you are with Avengers, but I'm going to let... sorry, hang on. Mike, are you a big Avengers guy or not?
I wouldn't say big. I'm pretty behind in the Marvel universe, but I will be caught up soon. It's definitely on my...
you got 3 years, so you're
on my watch list.
Do you want us to outro you now then, dude? Because we got wrestling after this.
Yeah, but 2 things I want to say. I really enjoyed something out of Comic-Con was the Black Panther trailer. I really enjoyed that a lot. I'm still kind of skeptical on the film, but I thought the teaser trailer that they showed was absolutely phenomenal. I'm interested to see who the new Black Panther is. And then 2, I don't know if anybody has saw it, but I want to say on Amazon Prime Video, they have a new Pennywise, the Story of It documentary that dropped.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm actually really interested to go check that out here soon. Like the original that came out with Tim Curry. So yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there in case anybody didn't know about it.
That's awesome, man. I love documentaries. We should be getting an announcement here soon on the Obi-Wan Kenobi behind the scenes stuff. So anyways, Mike, where can everybody find you at? I know we got the Lost Drive-In here coming up, debuting August the 22nd. But where else can people find you at?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at MichaelBish_ and on Instagram at mbish_. And the Take One podcast, new episode dropped today. Got an interview out with Stranger Things Forecast members, so make sure you go check that out. Available on all podcast platforms, and stay tuned for the Overlook Drive-In, man. It's going to be good. I can't wait for it.
Awesome, man. Can't wait for it. Thanks for doing this tonight.
Yes, sir.
There you have it, Mr. Bish. Mr. Bish wore the hat just for him. Johnny and Kieran, I'm literally about to choke here, so Johnny, maybe take this away for a second.
Okay. Well, we got 2 new Avengers films set to wrap up the Multiverse saga with the announcement of the Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars. Now, I gotta say, I'm happy to have you on for this, Kieran, because you're the only other guy around these parts who's comic book knowledgeable.
Yep.
To I don't want to say shed some light, but sort of look at these things from a broader perspective. Obviously, these two very prominent comic book arcs, one being more recent and the other one having happened a couple of times. So we'll do Kang Dynasty first. What is your first thoughts when you hear like the Kang Dynasty as the next Avengers movie?
I mean, I don't know if I like the name, just the sound of it, but the actual Kang storyline is pretty cool. Like, he actually fits in a lot of different places in the Marvel universe, which is cool. He's and also I really like what they've done so far with him being in the Loki series. So it's going to be interesting because he's going to tie in there. He's going to be in Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, or whatever that movie's called. Apparently he's going to be in that, and he's also going to be in season 2 of Loki. So there's going to be a lot of things tying in on its way there, which I think is really good because lately MCU films have kind of just been going their own way and having a lot less interconnected stories, which has been okay, but I think people have been kind of dying to see it all reunite the way it did for Thanos, which we knew way in advance was going to be the big baddie eventually. So awesome to hear they got a direction going and that's going to be the big main villain. Pretty happy with it. I like Jonathan Majors, and I think he'll do a great job. And I think it'll be interesting to have a different type of villain. He's not really a match strength to strength villain that Thanos could have been.
Yeah.
I think the only problem is that Thanos is kind of the ultimate. I don't know if there's I don't think there's something scarier than Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet. So I've always kind of wondered.
I have a feeling that like my gut tells me I know what the next one is, and I'm excited for it. At least I hope I know what the next one is. But we'll come back to that at the end of Secret War. For me, the Kang Dynasty, I like the idea of it because it was a prominent arc in the comics, and Kang is a character that plays with time a lot. Not just Loki sort of paints a picture of Kang as this watcher of time, which was odd, yet at the same time sort of sets up that particular variant of Kang is a watcher, not a doer, which I liked. Now we're getting the doers. I'm excited for this. I think that this saga, this phase, the multiverse saga that we've seen so far has definitely lacked direction. Every movie's kind of been going its own way. They've been good films. Like, I can't point to one and be like, oh, that was bad. That was not good. That wasn't fun. All of them have been good and they've been fun. But to me, I think the thing they've been doing is, like, everybody points to the first saga as, creating the Avengers. But to me, I think this one's a little different. I think we're creating the Young Avengers. Because I think every movie of the saga so far has either been about or introduced a young Avenger.
So, I got a question for you, Johnny. Maybe actually for both of you. Maybe you guys can help me out here. I don't know enough about like the comic lore behind and obviously there's more behind Secret Wars, I believe.
We'll come back to that one.
Well, that's where I'm going, just because we're on a bit of a time limit here. The Secret Wars bit, it's interesting because the same place that leaked that this was happening, I just figured it was a lie. But this came out like a day before they actually announced it. They had registered the names over in Europe for something. And the same place that had that has Robert Downey Jr. returning for Secret Wars. Can you explain to me how that works?
Well, it's all about how we get to that story, and I think we'll get to that in a second. I just wanted to add one more thing. I think we get Iron Lad in the Kang Dynasty. I think that's going to be a big one. If you know your Young Avengers, Iron Lad is Kang. He is a Kang variant that Kang creates his armies by recruiting Kangs. from other timelines to be his army. Iron Lad is a Kang that says, "No, I'm not a monster. What is wrong with you?" And fights against himself and joins the Young Avengers. So I think we're gonna get that in this story. Other thing, is MCU Kang a Richards?
Yeah, that should be interesting too.
I think that's going to be a huge one. I think we're going to find that out at some point.
I mean, they announced Fantastic Four. I think. Yep. I mean, a lot of questions came out of this whole thing. Like, Fantastic Four is announced, so everyone's wondering now: is John Krasinski going to be in it, or did they just do that as a joke? The other thing is the thing they didn't announce, which is they still have yet to tell about anything to do with X-Men.
Hang on. Yeah, they did. I'm 99% sure they announced that the first movie was going to be called The Mutants.
No.
They didn't announce that. That's been kind of...
Yeah, that's one of those things. That's a fan add-in that people have said. The extent of mutants that I've heard was one of the red carpet interviewers asked Kevin Feige, "Is Phase X gonna be Phase X? Like, are you saving the mutants for Phase X?" He said, "Well, I don't know about you, but I really don't want to wait that long." So I think that's the extent of mutantry. But if you're, I don't want to say this too loud because I know people in my own home don't know this yet. But I mean, we have mutants in the MCU now. Miss Marvel is a mutant, which is a huge change. I love that as Kevin Feige's ultimate FU to Ike Perlmutter. You want me to shove the Inhumans down the fan's throat? Fine, I'm gonna take your most famous Inhuman and I'm gonna make her a mutant because fuck you. It's petty and I love it, and actually sort of makes sense to me as a fan. Like, I like the idea. I don't know if you've heard the theory that the mutants already exist in the MCU. They're just already on Krakoa, and the world doesn't know about it. And I like that. And the snap has reactivated the X gene. I like that. I think that's a very palatable idea.
I think, instead of introducing them all as something new, being like, hey, they've been here forever, yeah.
Which makes sense, because if you accurately cast Professor X, you could then go back and film past scenes with like him and and Tony's dad and and those luminaries of X-Men, or not X-Men, but of the MCU past. Secret Wars. Kieran, I don't know about you, but are you tired of people thinking this is the original Secret Wars?
I mean, it could be a lot of things.
Really? I mean, I think the only thing that makes sense to me is this is the most recent Secret Wars, where you had the incursion. Because you were already setting it up. I mean, Doctor Strange set up the idea of the incursion. You had Clea show up at the end for an incursion.
You guys got to dumb this down for the audience. Nobody knows what the hell you're talking about.
Is there only the two? Or is there 3 Secret Wars major arcs? I think there's just the 2.
No, the more recent one would be the 3rd, I think.
Okay, so there's at least 2 with possibly 3. I can't remember if there's a 3 or not, but there's obviously your prominent Secret Wars arc, which was the original one, which was the fighters of the different Earths meet on was it the moon or was it Mars? Somewhere where they'd created Battle Dome, and that was the introduction of Black Suit Spider-Man, and then there was a more recent Secret Wars. Where you had, the Earth incursion, where 2 Earths enter, 1 Earth leaves, which was sort of set up in Doctor Strange that incursions are bad. So I think that's how this one goes. I think this one, we end the Kang Dynasty with an incursion, and
that makes sense.
You sort of you have the. I mean, you've seen,
and it is the multiverse saga, so
exactly, like you've seen the Eternals. I've seen the Eternals. You end that film with the Celestial in the sky. I think we're going to end the Kang Dynasty with the second Earth in the sky.
So when they say Robert Downey Jr., that's the film he'll likely return in, then we're not necessarily talking about the character that we already know.
Most likely. It would be whatever Earth, this is MCU is now 616. That's the thing. So whichever Earth the other one is probably where Iron Man still exists, and is of that Earth, or they bring him back on this Earth. Who knows? I mean, this is still at its heart a comic book universe. Death is not a permanent state for anyone.
Yeah, I mean, money talks too, right? So,
well, that's exactly it, right? But it's comic books, so it's that. Also, I'm predicting that we end this saga with the arrival of the Silver Surfer, and then your next arc is the Galactus saga.
I would really love to see that character done right. Silver Surfer.
I didn't hate the Rise of the Silver Surfer film. It wasn't good, but it wasn't.
I didn't mind it. I like Doctor Doom in those films.
I need a new Doctor Doom. I need him bad. I like the rumors that we're going to see him in Wakanda Forever as the villain of that film.
That'd be cool.
Or I should say as the puppet master of that film, not the villain.
I guess Namor is kind of going to be the villain.
And that is a prominent. Is that Doomsday? It is an arc in the comics where Doctor Doom convinces Namor and the Atlanteans to go to war with Wakanda. For some
I know
weird
that
reason.
I don't know about Doctor Doom being in that, but I know that they took from source material for this movie.
I think that was Doctor Doom, but I mean I could be wrong. Well, I'm all for that.
I think. Sorry, go ahead, Johnny.
Well, I was gonna say just before we run this off, since we're on Fantastic Four, are you buying or selling on the Ben Grimm is in She-Hulk?
I mean, we know someone else who's in She-Hulk, but
we know lots of people in She-Hulk, but Ben Grimm is one that has been going around as a possibility.
I don't think so.
Not even as Ben Grimm. Like a pre-transformed Ben Grimm.
That could definitely happen.
I mean, that's my assumption, anyways. That if you're going to get any of these characters, it's going to be Ben Grimm as that, which I think actually sort of lines up. If the plan is to announce the Fantastic Four at D23, which is, the big
there's supposed to
rumor,
be something big there. So,
well, that's one of the big ones that's out there is that they're going to announce them at D23, which makes sense. I mean, that's in
fantastic.
Early September, right, for D23.
You know what would be amazing? If Ben Grimm, not as the Hulk, walks by and bumps in the Hulk and then goes like, "Watch it, big guy." Or like there's some sort of little aggression between the two of them.
I would enjoy that. Like you get to see Ben Grimm
quite often.
Like to me, in my mind, this is just me purely fantasy booking. Is you have Ben Grimm in that episode dealing with She-Hulk on some legal issue, and it sort of ends with, we've got our mission, we're leaving blank, and that sets off the creation of the Fantastic Four. Because let's be honest, MCU cannot already have Fantastic Four in it as the Fantastic Four, because that does not make sense.
I think when next week comes around, we should dive into the talk about where those Avenger movies are placed and if that'll work or not. We know they intended to do that before and backed off of it, and they seem to attempt it. Gonna try to attempt it again. And then
we could do a whole show on what they announced at Comic-Con. In fact, we could do several shows on.
When is D20?
One on just what Marvel said. Marvel released so much stuff. Everyone's just talking about how Marvel kicked DC's ass this weekend. Like that's the biggest
they did.
headline coming out of it.
Yeah, Marvel walked in there and kicked everybody's ass.
The DCU is so bad that their own panel booed The Rock. The Rock.
Yeah, it's DC.
When your fan base is that pissed off that they're booing The Rock, you fucked up.
Their best films have nothing to do with their expanded universe. That's pretty tough.
I was going to say their best films are their expanded universe.
I'm talking the DCEU. Their best films are not the DCEU. Not a chance.
Well, I mean EU is indeed like...
I'm talking Joker. I'm talking the Batman.
Yeah, those don't count. Because they're not... No, because they're not EU. Like the DCEU, their best films are the non-core stuff. Like it's the Suicide Squad. It's...
Oh, okay, but I'm talking DC as a whole. Like I think they need to forfeit. Like stop with the... just because one person does a connected or one company does a connected universe doesn't mean it works for everybody. In fact, do something different. Look how successful their standalone films are. They've been incredible. In fact, they've been far better than Marvel and Sony's standalone films recently.
You're not wrong. DC has the advantage over Marvel in that regard, where DC is the comic book universe built off of the multiverse better than Marvel. Like Marvel, all of the stories are on one Earth. There are very few main storylines, like main comic lines, that aren't on 616. I mean, Miles Morales, Spider-Man 2099, those are like the main ones that aren't, is the Spider-Man stuff. Everything else is all 616. Whereas, DC, you have so many different universes, so many different lines with all these different characters that, that's what they should be leaning into, not trying to make everything one giant happy ball of crap.
One really good movie, and if it does good in multiple ways, consider making more. I.e. Joker. And they admitted their plan was for more than one movie with the Batman, but similar things. Anyway,
be smart. Don't try and be different just for the sake of being different. Pick characters that allow you to be different and be different. Like that's why the Suicide Squad is so good, because they're characters that you can be different with. You can have fun with them.
It's Suicide Squad's good, and I don't think it's the level of some of Marvel's movies, but anyways, fellas, a lot has happened in the WWE. It's time for our Dark Match Drive segment of this show. Joining us, he's a little under the weather. He might have swallowed Mr. Sacco whole. I'm not sure. It's Jared. What's going on, man? You living, dude?
I'm alive. I'm functioning, and been keeping up with news on my phone from my bed. So I'm in the loop still.
I turned you up, so you shouldn't have to talk this loud. Maybe.
All right. Good.
Fellas, Vince is out. Vince McMahon is out as WWE CEO. Vince McMahon is out as WWE creative. He's still the lead stockholder. John Laurinaitis is out. Triple H is Paul Levesque is the head of creative. Lots of rumors that Kevin Dunn might be the next one that's out. You three are pretty big wrestling guys. I just kind of want to hear you guys geek out about this for a while and sit back and enjoy what happens now, because I imagine change isn't going to come as fast as some people want it, because there are several different channels you have to go through.
I mean, it's going to be a slow process, I think, because the investigation is only the official investigation has only been really going on for 2 weeks, and we don't really know the details of what we know they've found enough for Vince to step back. They knew the Variety article was coming out Monday, and that's why they made the decision Friday night to push Vince out the door. So there's a lot of legal issues that are coming. I mean, Vince is probably going to get sued by his shareholders, because you're not allowed to spend shareholder money and then be like, yeah, I'll pay it back with my personal money. I mean, it doesn't work that way. As far as creative goes, I think that will be a slow process, because they've got a lot of plans in motion right now, and they're not going to just stop the train just because Bruce Pritchard is out and Triple H is in. And I mean, Pritchard isn't even necessarily out; he's just down a rung, which he was a week ago anyways. He was down a rung from Vince before all this went down anyways, so it's nothing new for him. Long-term change, however, I don't think certain people are going to be around for long. I don't think Kevin Dunn is long for this world, hopefully. I don't think Bruce Pritchard is long for the world, because like Vince had his guys that he trusted and wanted in certain spots, and he kept them there. I mean, Kevin Dunn has been his director since 1984, and the only reason he's been there for so long was because he saved a bunch of tapes from a burning car, and Vince was
his dad saved a bunch of tapes from a burning car. Remember that?
Yeah, he got grandfathered the luck.
He's a nepotism hire. Don't forget that.
Exactly. So, and it's well known that Triple H is not a fan of him. And
Nobody's a fan of his.
Well, that's an interesting part because people still have nice things to say about Vince. People have nice things to say about Bruce. Nobody in that company has anything nice to say about Kevin Dunn. I mean, it came out Monday that he didn't want Becky Lynch to be the women's champion because he felt she wasn't attractive enough. So
I'm sorry. That's...
And we've seen Kevin Dunn. I mean, go Google a picture of Kevin Dunn.
What?
Oh, wait.
What do you mean? I don't think she's attractive enough to be on television every week.
There you go. So, and I mean, John Laurinaitis is out. So there's changes coming. It's just we'll get to the vision that we think is coming, just not yet.
It's a murky, dirty glass of water because yes, there's change at the top. But until that change filters all the way down to the ground level, you're not going to see changes. Like, yes, okay, Vince is out, Triple H is now in as head of creative. Great. But you're not replacing the creative team. You're just replacing the guy at the top of the totem pole. You know, the problem is still inherently the problem in that you have a creative team of non-wrestling people. That's not going to change overnight.
Well, plus
I
the Vince's
kind of
guys.
disagree with you there, though, because from what I hear, he rewrites the show every time he gets there, anyways.
Yeah, Monday at 4 p.m. He tears up the show.
There's not a Vince to rewrite the show. We might actually find out what those writers were getting at sometimes.
But the problem is, we still see the original plans. We still hear those plans and those things. It's really not that different, you know. Like it really isn't. Most of the rewriting stuff is just orders and, you know, unimportant stuff. The main program, you know, you don't rewrite Roman Reigns promo on Friday. You don't do that. That doesn't happen. You don't rewrite Brock's segment on Monday. You might change its order on the card, but you're not going to change the segment itself. You know, but sure.
I was led to believe that a few times he's literally just been like, we're not doing that, and just fucking throwing the script out the window. So
yes, but that's sort of a a misnomer of what's actually done. Like, because of how scripted the promos are, all you can really do is shuffle them around and maybe change a line here or there. Because everything is as heavily scripted, you can't walk in and be like, okay, we're going a completely different direction tonight. You know, this isn't the 80s or the 90s where the guys were doing their own promos, where if you walk in and say, okay, Hulk, I know you were supposed to be going with Savage on the house show loop, but we're going to move you over here. You're going with Boss Man now. You could do that in the 80s and walk in and just throw everything up and be like, yeah, no, we're not doing that now. Now you
Hogan,
can't.
You can't. You cannot go up against this Jake the Snake guy. It's not working out well.
Exactly.
No, that don't work for me, brother.
I think that was a Hulk change, not a Vince change, though. They're booing me, Vince. Change this.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I think, like I said, Vince had his people, you know, down the line, and it's going to take time for Triple H to take them out and get Triple H's people in. And that was a key to him being as successful as he was in NXT, that Triple H got his guys in places he wanted, and that includes creative, that includes directing, that includes talent, everything. And so it worked for Triple H's vision, and I think it's just going to take time to kind of, you know, pick off Vince's guys and get them out of there, and then Triple H will kind of have his guys in there, and then we'll get that. And another aspect is Stephanie is still there. You know, she still has a voice in the room. And the problem with that is her vision of pro wrestling is directly from Vince. Vince taught her the business. So,
see, I hate the way you say that, because it carries a connotation that I hate. Because let's be real. It's
true, though.
Yes, but let's be real. Vince McMahon created professional wrestling. He created sports entertainment. It was not a thing until Vince made it a thing.
Are you sure about this?
Just let them go head to head.
You could have it in certain places, but it didn't work large scale. Like, I'm not saying that, you know, he didn't. Okay, I mean, created is probably an over extreme example, because you still had places like Memphis where that was already sports entertainment, but
nobody
could do it.
Territories.
Did you break it again?
It was like pre-territory era, even like, yes, I get that. Like, okay, they were separated. I mean, you know, Knoxville was doing its thing, LA was doing its thing, Portland was up here, and they were all separate entities. But before that, before the NWA formed in 1948, I mean, Frank Gotch was literally drawing houses in Chicago, New York, you know, so wrestling itself was a household name. And then it kind of, the NWA was almost, even though it was a governing body, it was almost detrimental to the overall picture. I mean, it was great because it split everyone, you know, out. But I think Vince ended up taking all that and put it all together, which is great. It put the wrestling business on this pedestal, which is funny because Vince looked at it as sports entertainment, not as wrestling. And it benefited WWE and it killed the territory system. But now
the territories killed themselves. I mean,
yes.
Memphis is
well,
the
I
prime
mean, Vince
example
was
that
going in and buying their TV slots.
Yes,
and then buying their talent.
That's true, but the territories killed themselves by trying to compete with Vince. The territories that didn't compete with Vince are the ones that survived. Memphis never tried to compete.
That's why they stayed around the longest.
Until the 2000s.
Like if Vince had it if it was 1986 right now, Vince would probably try and call up TBS and say, how much are you paying AEW for their TV slot? And they'll say, here's the number. And Vince would say, you can pay us less than that, and we will give you just the same amount of time of a program. And why would a TV network say no to that? I mean, they're paying less for product. And
they wouldn't have seen the value in the stars either. It would have been like, yeah, we got another wrestling. Like at that time, it would have been like, yeah, just
it was
just
before guaranteed contracts. Why wouldn't they go?
I want to jump in just before you guys get way too apart from even the Vince thing and just start talking about 1987.
You want to talk about the Survivor Series issue? Okay.
No, I got.
He said 87.
I'm trying to find the comment here that I was gonna go off here. Oh, Wayne said Vince embezzled from the company, incarcerated his stupid ass. This is going to go to the point that I was going to bring up. And, like, this is the best justice for Vince, is that he is no longer, you know, running his company. You could do a lot of things to Vince and he'd be like, who gives a shit? Like, honestly, if he has less money, he probably doesn't give a shit. He's still rich, whatever. It's like now, you know, he can't show up and be like, I'm going to go on the first damn segment. And like, no. Like, he can't. I feel like this is the best punishment for him.
Listen to anyone who actually knows him. Vince McMahon has no life outside of the WWE bubble.
Yeah, you know? No, he's probably going to, I bet he dies in the next year now. Like,
yeah. He's out of his universe, so
I hope he finds
no world for him.
I mean, I think the two things that, if you listen to people that talk about Vince, he cares about two things: the WWE and his family. I think he's going to, you know, sort of surround himself with the grandkids because mommy and daddy are at work 24/7 now. So let's go spend time with the girls. I think you're going to see a family man. As crazy as that sounds, you're going to get to see the family man side of Vince now.
Until he's in prison.
Yeah. So I was
That's
really
not
hoping
happening.
nobody would go there. Who knows how much the family knew, right? Like, I don't. I think some people just assume a lot of them knew. I don't know. I don't know if that's out there yet. But if they didn't, or they always doubted it, or in their head they doubted it, the last person or people that guy's fucking coming around are my kids, regardless of whose granddaddy it is or how much money there is. I don't know if it's just as simple for him. And I mean, it is part of it here is, well, now I get to spend more time with my family. It's like, dude, you fucked up. Bad. And like, the family thing might not be an option. Hopefully people have a chance to heal. Vince specifically as a person. I know where Kieran was going with that. There's there is a mental health. I don't want to see anybody die. I don't want to see Vince McMahon die. I didn't want to see Owen Hart die. I didn't want to see Chris Benoit die. Didn't want to see anybody die. Still don't. But there's a scary part of this that, like, oh yeah, this has been his life for 4 or 5 decades. I don't know how long it's been. It was a very long time. What do you do now? I hope he finds something. And I do think Kieran nailed it. The best justice is this company's going to go on, and he ain't going to be able to do squat. And it's why I kind of wanted to bring up the next topic, which is still on the Vince stuff. Jared and I have been going back and forth. For me, anyways, this feels like sign, seal, deliver. This company's getting sold within a couple of years. I feel like they've already been heading that way for a long time. And now I don't know if it becomes easier or not. I guess that depends on Vince's mindset, but because he's the lead shareholder, right?
Yeah. He sold some shares. Well, he forfeited shares today. Not worth any value of anything.
Less than he sells in an average year. Like
it didn't equate to anything really, and he still owns a significant amount of the power.
Still north of 70% of the entire company is owned by Vincent Kennedy.
But what I'm thinking is, if this investigation with the SEC and everything ends up leading to criminal charges, he may have to forfeit all of those shares if he ends up going to prison, and then he would be, out of the picture entirely and wouldn't have a say on any sale. And we know Nick Khan has limited, if any, connection to the wrestling business itself, and he would be he's probably been gearing towards the sale, and he's been in Vince's ear the whole time saying, make this move. We got to make the company as profitable as possible to, potential buyers. And with Nick Khan being the co-CEO right now, I'm sure he's probably already in Stephanie's ear saying, we got to make this, same idea. We got to try and get this company, up for sale. And I don't know where that leaves Triple H as far as, his position. Because Triple H is a wrestling guy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think Nick Khan is.
Yeah, company gets sold, someone else comes in, and they might want their own people there. Even if they think they know how to run it, they don't, because they haven't done it. But there's so many possibilities here. Like, trying to predict the end. Sorry, go ahead, Kieran.
From what I've heard, Triple H does really well in the business world, though. Like, I've heard that he's been really good to, talk to business execs and stuff like that. And
yeah, like Wall Street.
You can see it, but I think he's like, he'll probably always be looked at as a wrestler, but I think from what I'm hearing, he's, he might do well in the world post Vince McMahon WWE.
I think that's the benefit of him shadowing Vince for kind of those couple of years where Triple H came in and he's like, okay, I need to learn all this. When the idea back then was, Vince is going to leave the company to Shane or Stephanie and Triple H. And Shane's on the outs with not only Vince, but with Stephanie too. So I don't see Shane, having any impact in this whatsoever. Shane's so far on the outs right now.
If they give him the WrestleMania main slot and he wins the title over Brock Lesnar, they could probably roll him back in.
Yeah,
he seems to think he deserves that.
Vince was so pissed. It came out yesterday that Vince was so pissed after the Royal Rumble blow up, where Shane tried to help book the Rumble and gave himself a bunch of spots over everybody, which pissed everybody off. Vince said to him in Gorilla, "That's the last pop you'll ever get in this company." So, and Stephanie is, Daddy's little girl. So we'll see.
I'm fairly sure, like, she's pretty good with business too, right? So
yep.
I don't know. I'm actually, like, I've been a WWE hater for the last 5 years or so. Like, I've slowly been going out of it at that point, but like, I watch almost none at all, and like, this has me literally going, like, I should watch on Monday and see what happens, because I'm a big Triple H fan. Not only of him, wrestling wise, but also, like, NXT was the best WWE we've had in the last 10 years. Like, when he was there doing stuff, it was the best part of the company, wrestling wise. So it's like, if he can do that, like, I don't see why I wouldn't start watching WWE again if it's going to be like NXT that I started watching. So,
But it's
it
not.
won't be the same because it's a different idea. But like, if Triple H is smart enough to highlight characters and, you know, give them storylines that make sense and have things going places, like, I'm all for WWE style matches. I like the slower style and the selling and all that stuff just as much as I like what's going on in AEW. The problem that got me out of WWE was that, like, one week this guy's a good guy and the next week this guy's a bad guy. What the fuck? Why is he doing that? Why? This just doesn't make sense. None of these characters are doing anything that a human would normally do. And just like, you know, it's like, oh, I'm looking forward to this character. He's off TV for a month. Why? Like, all this stuff just blowing my brains. And it's like, I can't imagine if Vince isn't there, I can't imagine that it's not going to get better. So I'm actually really intrigued.
Well, that's an interesting part because Triple H would have his guys in NXT and he would push them. Like Karrion Kross, Nakamura, Robert Roode, all these guys that he would get behind and push and not just forget about them, 3 weeks into the push. So, and Triple H had the meeting before Raw where he said to the talent, like, I want this to be different. I want to be accessible to you. I want, to hear your concerns. I want this to flow. And, there were reports that came out yesterday that said Vince, like, would book certain things one week and then forget he booked them the following week. And, there was issues there. And nobody was going to speak up because it's Vince, right? So
we'll see a lot less guys who's like, oh, that guy looks really good. Put him on the cover. It's like, well, but he's like kind of a green wrestler. He's not really it's not really what the fans like right now, or is that whatever? Like, but yeah, look at those massive man titties. Put him on the cover. Like,
yep.
The thing though is that Triple H NXT is not going to be Triple H WWE. Because NXT was beholden to no one but the company. Vince could let him have his own little fiefdom and do whatever he wanted because it didn't matter. Even when they got on USA, it still didn't matter. And that's what ruined them, was that they got on USA and they became beholden to someone else once USA started seeing these declining ratings and saying, you got to do something here. Something needs to be done. That's what killed the Black and Gold brand. Was making it beholden to someone else. When it was beholden to no one but the WWE network, you could do whatever you wanted. And now you have a Triple H who is beholden to Fox, who is beholden to NBC. You're not going to, you're not going to get... Johnny Gargano is not main eventing WrestleMania now because Triple H is in charge. It's not happening. I'm sorry. And if you think you are, you're fucking stupid. Johnny Gargano might come back and might get rehired, but
get Johnny out of this right now.
His
no to Gargano. Okay, no to Gargano, but we may end up with fresher matchups. Could you see Kevin Owens main eventing WrestleMania? Absolutely.
Oh, I don't disagree. There's going to be changes, but it's going to be network palatable guys.
Oh, for sure.
They still have to be that. And, some of these people that they expect these things, like, yes, would Karrion Kross probably have had a much higher ceiling had Triple H been running things? Absolutely. Would Keith Lee still be in the company? Quite frankly, I don't know how he wasn't, because he was literally the mold of Vince McMahon's wet dreams. How he didn't become a superstar, I have no idea.
Yeah, and it was on a paralegal skirt.
Just quickly around the table here, fellas. Who thinks this place is sold in 3 years? I do. Everything else gets sold nowadays. I do.
3 years feels about where we would start getting the idea of, we're getting potential buyers here, and because then everything will have been in place for a long enough time. The structure would be there, and I think then we'd start hearing like, oh, hey, Disney is interested. And, so I think right around then. But does this change mean it's less likely to get sold? I don't know. I'm hoping so. I don't want a corporate entity to take over this company, because the AOL Time Warner merger killed WCW, and I don't want, a corporate entity to take control and then suddenly decide, oh, hey, the Fox TV contract changed. We're not making as much money. Let's just shut this fucking thing down.
Yeah, I mean, it's true, and if you know enough about the WCW thing, there was too many guys, like sending a guy down and being like, so you're one of our guys with the suits, right? Yeah, go run that thing, or go run that, and it's like, okay, cool, and then they don't know shit about.
Apple butter.
They can't be like, hey, how come you're not booking this guy in the main event? He seems to be really popular. Like, oh, we're building up to this. It's going to be this, and then later, and they're like, no, just do it now. It's going to be ratings. I'm like, like those sort of things where, if I went in, if I went to go direct a Halloween movie, I'd probably do a shitty job, because I'm not one of the people who would be like, oh yeah, we got to put the blue lighting thing in that everyone likes. Like I wouldn't know all that shit. I don't know all that stuff that you have to fit in, all those ingredients for a good Halloween movie. I like them, but
you'd use a pear shape.
Super into them, right? Sorry, I didn't hear.
You'd use a pear shape. Just this waddling creature coming after you.
Can we end the show on that? That would be really if we're all just like, and then you ended the show, that'd be great.
Someone asked me yesterday what I thought of everything and how long it would take to see changes. I'm like, I'm the wrong guy to ask. Go ask Johnny or Jared that. I'm like, however, it is a company. It is an organization, sort of, and I don't see it being any different than when a football team or a hockey team or a basketball team gets to do management. Rarely do they get to come in and be like, okay, everybody's gone day one, and we have a whole new roster by week 3. It takes years.
Yeah. It's going to take time.
I think that you'll notice things feel a little bit different sooner than later. So I might be against all three on that, but I feel like things will look. I think things will make more sense in about 2 months, I would say.
Well, let's have some fun with. So go ahead.
I'm worried that Kevin Dunn being gone, which is a major, significant problem in the company right now. The camera work is the worst camera work in wrestling history.
It's the worst camera work in the history of camera work.
Fair point. Yeah. I mean, there is a Jackie Chan quote where he talks about filming a fight scene, and he explicitly says, do not move the camera during impact because it takes away what the viewer is experiencing in the fight. WWE does the opposite of that. It will shake the camera. It'll cut. And because they're terrified of, oh, wait, what if he misses that one punch? So let's film the entire show like that. No. Now, my fear with that is if you get Kevin Dunn out and you get somebody else in, what if they are just a Kevin Dunn underling and nothing changes? Then what's the point?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I'm sorry, but that's the most ridiculous thing I've seen. I've seen some ridiculous ideas in chat, and
I'm sure this is in jest because Justin seems to be very smart with wrestling. So I'm sure this is a joke.
Jim Cornette, that fella.
I mean, Kevin Dunn out would be enticing to Cornette. Cornette had to apologize to a certain Kevin Dunn for calling him a Bucky Tooth motherfucker during a creative meeting in 1998, 97.
That was in it was Newfoundland, right? That was right around the flag match in September of 97.
Yes. Yep.
Right before the screw job.
Yep.
Actually, I think that's
right. Well, a couple months before
this was. So these fellas haven't had any chance to prepare for this, but I'm going to ask them a question before we go off air here. I'll go first so they have some time to think about it. With this changeover, what is the biggest change that you guys want to see with the WWE product? And you can only name one thing. I'm going to go first. I haven't watched WWE consistently since 2000. When did Punk leave? Was it January of 14?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that would have been it. I was gone. That was it for me. And the camera work was not nearly like that back then. So when I watched WrestleMania this year with my oldest guy, I was kind of like, what the fuck am I watching? But my one thing that I want to see changed, and I seriously hope they do, because not only is it fucking just carny ass shit and looks terrible, get rid of the fucking graphics, please. Holy fuck, when they come out for entrances and those terrible 1998 CGI looking Slim Jim graphics that come up on fucking screen. I don't know who said, hey, that's a good idea. The Phantom Menace looks better than that shit. It just does. Sorry. That's what I want to see changed. I know it's minor, but that's my major thing. I think I'll be able to watch again if that changes.
I mean, that all tracks back to one thing, and it's my answer. It's Kevin Dunn's head on a pike. You know,
Wait, he makes that decision?
Yeah, that's all directors call. Like, other people may get the ideas and they may do things, but you know, he's the one who decides when they're used, where they're used, and how they're used. You know, that's not in Vince's scripts. You know, like I some of them are nice. 9 out of 10 are not. And it's just the entire everything that Kevin Dunn does. I want gone, because the problem is it's getting more and more common now. You need him out the door, because I mean, for me personally, I'm having a rough time watching AEW lately, because they are getting more and more like that. You know, there are more camera cuts in an AEW match in 2022 than there were the entire first 6 months of Dynamite in 2019. You know, and that's not good. I mean, that was who was that? Who was the director, the AEW director that just retired, Jer?
Sahadi?
The old WCW director.
Was it David Sahadi?
No.
Oh shit!
I saw like a behind the scenes.
Oh shit! No, I know. Craig Leathers. No, maybe.
It was one of the old WCW directors.
Yeah.
He just retired in AEW, and they're going more to what wrestling is, and that needs to change because it's not good.
AEW, though, to be clear, while they have been cutting more, even I've noticed that they don't do this.
No. It's not the, but
like,
it's getting. It's getting more that way, and the longer you sort of continue in that, the more, you know, like, see, that's the thing, like, you know, we talk about, you know, the generations, like, kids, like, if you were to show Zach a match from the 80s, he'd wonder why the camera's in the same spot the whole match. You know, like, people don't understand that, you know, when we first started watching, a 2-camera shoot was a premium, oh my god, they've got 2 cameras! You know, like,
to be fair, that's the kind of entertainment that people like, you know, not old guys with beards, but like, you know, young people, not like ourselves. They like shit jumping around and constantly flickering and whatever. Like, that's the world today, you know? So, I mean, I get it. I like going back and watching old matches and watching them basically just fucking punch the shit out of each other, and then every once in a while there's a pile driver in there. Like, I enjoy watching that, but nobody wants, like, no new fans want to watch that shit now. So, like, if you showed them a match, not only would they be like, why is the camera not cutting, to be like, what the fuck is this? Like,
why is this guy been in a headlock for 5 minutes?
Yeah, nobody's even flipped yet. What the hell?
It's funny you mentioned that, because Jer posted this thing on Dark Match Drive of these, I think it's like Midnight Express versus Rock and Roll Express. I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm high. I'm half asleep. I'm going to turn this on and watch what this is. I'm like, okay, I get it. You know, they're in a gym or whatever. I can deal with that. And then I watched like 7 minutes of the match. And I was like, why am I doing this right now? I was cursing Jared into my brain. I don't know.
But your first mistake was watching a Midnight Express Rock and Roll Express match from, what was that, 2004?
2006, yeah.
It's close enough.
I mean,
bad. I thought it was from today.
Bobby's dead, so I hope not.
Oh, is he? Oh, that's terrible.
That's
terrible. Now I feel
that other guy, isn't Ricky Morton is wrestling on the Flair show, isn't he?
Yep.
Teaming with his son.
So one of those guys is still wrestling.
I mean,
They both
Ricky
are.
Morton-
Ricky and Robert, they headlined a GCW show
yeah, Ricky threw
July
light
4th
tubes
weekend?
at John Wayne
I think-
Murdoch.
Was
like
it Murdoch
3
or
weeks
was
ago.
it? Yeah, it was either Murdoch or
Yeah.
his partner. It was one of the two. But yeah, I think you're definitely right, Justin. Chat Keith Mitchell. That's what I was thinking of.
All
All
right.
right, we got about 5 minutes to get off here, guys. What are your favorites?
All right. I got 2 fun little trivia tidbits I want to get off my chest since this discussion has kind of been about wrestling filming for the past little bit. All right. First of all, the first wrestling company to use instant replay was Southeastern Championship Wrestling in 1974. And they were so proud of it that they included it in their opening video. It was like Southeastern Championship Wrestling with instant replay.
I mean, in the 70s, that's a huge deal, though.
Yes, for sure.
I mean, that's barely a thing in the
And they
NFL
would
at
do,
that point.
They would do split video for promos. So like one guy would be in one studio, the other guy would be in the other studio. They were like, oh my God, this is so cool. And then the first company to use ringside cameras. So outside of just the hard camera, the first company to do ringside cameras would be World Class Championship Wrestling in 1982, when they started broadcasting more national than, outside of Texas.
Ironically, on the Christian Broadcast Network.
Yeah,
You know
of all
what? You know what I
places.
used to love about the instant replay? The instant replay on Raw in like mid to late 90s. You guys know. Every time they did it, it had this noise that sounded like 2 pieces of metal scraping up. It'd be like, and you'd be like, "What the fuck was that?"
I
They were
missed the Telestrator era. I'm just saying.
They would cut in, and then you just get this annoying as fuck like goat screaming noise. What the fuck?
Yep.
I missed the King Cam and the Brain Box.
Yep. Those were good.
The early 90s Telestrators. I loved that.
Anything to do with the brain was good.
Yes. So Wayne pointed out 1950s matches where the camera is a quarter mile away. Interesting point to that. On Dark Match Drive tonight, I will post links to matches from the 1950s in France that have been digitally enhanced and are incredibly watchable. And they're doing stuff that the Young Bucks do today. In 1955. Yes, it is the most insane shit in the world. I'm excited to post it. So yes, if you haven't joined Dark Match Drive, please do. If somebody could drop the link, that would be great. Yes, Tommy couldn't believe it. I mean, I sent him a link while he was in Netherlands or whatever the fuck, and he was like, holy shit.
He was in France watching your France match from the 50s.
Exactly, right? Like Tommy gives a shit about France wrestling from the 50s.
But yeah, Jared, what's yours, man? What's the major change you want?
Honestly, probably I want Kevin Dunn gone. I need the camera work to get better. Even like slightly better. I can handle the little shakes on the bumps and whatever. I mean, ECW did that, so it's whatever. But just the camera cuts. I mean, like the brawls with the cuts on every punch, and there's like 17
One
punches.
suplex should not have 4 camera cuts in it.
Exactly. And I tried watching Raw last night, and I'm like, maybe it'll be a little bit different. I got my hopes up. It wasn't that different. Although there's a funny Dave Meltzer story from last night where, so in the promo where Roman said, your daddy ain't here no more to Austin Theory, obviously referencing Vince, Meltzer thought he was talking about Johnny Gargano. Because Johnny Gargano was the leader of the Way in NXT, in which Theory was a member of. And he didn't clue in that he was talking about Vince until this afternoon. Oh, poor Meltzer. I love him.
I'll take dinosaurs that should be put out to pasture for 500, Alex.
I mean, I love Meltzer, but that wasn't a good look.
Once we got to like 7.5-star matches, it was just like, yeah, like, dude, come on.
Have you seen Okada versus Omega go 60 minutes? Because that's worthy of 7 stars.
There should never be anything more than 5 stars. 5 stars is 5 stars. They should have never done it.
I don't often wholeheartedly agree with Kieran, but yeah.
Look at
Kieran, what are you
this.
changing, man?
Unless you're going to go back and rewatch everything else you've ranked before and change it to a 7-star scale, then okay, do that, but nobody has time for that.
My one thing that I would like to see change is, and I know that I'm pretty sure Johnny will disagree with this. Super. Anyways, they don't need to listen to the fans like all the time and book the way the fans would want.
Well, which
but
fans?
They need to listen to the fans a lot more.
Which fans?
When fans love and buy T-shirts of this guy, and this guy is like so popular, and everyone wants to see him, you can't be like, yeah, but you know what? Whatever, let's kill him. Let's fucking kill his like. They gotta listen to what the fans want.
You need to listen to the fans in the building, not the loudest fans on the keyboard. I said I don't disagree. You need to listen to the fans in the building, not the fans with the keyboards.
Agreed.
Oh yeah, no, I wouldn't. You need to listen to where the money is, where the the
loudest voice on Twitter doesn't get to book the show, but the fan in the building, yeah, you can listen to them.
Yeah, well,
Yep.
I mean, the biggest thing I can think of right now is the Fiend or Braun Strowman. Like, what's with the How did these guys get kicked out? How did they get put to pasture? Like, I don't get
paid
it.
Too much.
Well, and that's the thing. There was a time and place for them to get the push, to get the title. Like, they were over at that level, and then they just, cut their legs off. And then a year later, it's like, oh, hey, Braun's the champion. Like, and nobody gave a shit. Well, I mean, there's nobody in the building to give a shit. But
the problem is
Braun could have had an epic fucking run. He could have been. He easily could have had the same run. He couldn't have the Roman Reigns run because I don't think he was experienced enough, but I mean, he very well could have had a very long run where he was the biggest fucking monster, and he could have been a bad guy or a good guy in that position. And the Fiend, the way it was, the way it was going was fine, and obviously, sorry, I forget his name. Wyndham, what's his name?
Bray Wyatt. Wyndham Rotunda.
Right, yeah, but what's his real name?
Wyndham Rotunda.
Yeah. He put so much into that character, and he did so much with it, and they had that real thing where the person constantly came up with great ideas for the character, and it could have gone on forever. He could have been great forever, and he didn't have to be at the top of the card the whole time, but he would have made sure that character kept having new ideas and kept on being fresh. He had outward appeal. I mean, Tom Savini made his wrestler, a creative mind, all put together that could have just kept doing that. For sure, he would have. If they said, "Hey, you need a new mask. This thing's getting boring. We need to sell," he would have came up with something the next day. He would have gone to the people
with the talent.
You had a genius, a good wrestler, a good wrestling talent, and you fucked it up. And it's just those sorts of things need to stop happening, where it's wow, this guy's fucking selling all the merch. Everyone loves him. Kids love him. Everything's great. But for some reason, they always just find a reason to be yeah, but we kind of like Roman Reigns more. And it's that needs to change. That whole thing needs to change.
That just goes back to the Vince era mindset. That goes back to the Vince era mindset where there can only be one. There has to be one. There's only one man on Mount Olympus. Hogan is that guy. Then we push Hogan aside for Warrior. Oops, that didn't work. We need Hogan again. Now the steroid era happens. Okay, Ric Flair. No, that doesn't work. Bret Hart. Okay, that's great in Europe, not so great in America. Diesel. Nope, that's even worse. Shawn Michaels. Okay, all right.
A little better,
Austin,
but not great.
Awesome.
John Cena for a long time, yeah.
Awesome. Okay, you're right. Rock, you're running away to Hollywood. Brock Lesnar. Oh, you're going to play football. John Cena?
Yeah.
John Cena. John Cena. John Cena. John Cena. John Cena. And I could keep going until we get to 2018 and it's Roman Reigns.
And then it was
That's already 3
Roman
years
Reigns,
too late.
And then Roman Reigns.
Did you say your thing that you're changing, Johnny? Or sorry, the thing
I
that
said production.
The production. So
Again, Kevin.
The one thing that the Fiend and Goldberg have over every other wrestler is they were on Pornhub. Yes, their match from Saudi Arabia was titled Man Pummels Fat Juggalo for 2 minutes.
I'm going to kindly request you never make a joke like that again while I'm tipping back a Coke, okay? Or else I'm going to have to bill you for the electronics I destroyed.
Remember for like a month, we kept waiting for Johnny to eat food or drink and then ask him a question right as he was doing it?
So you're finally admitting y'all bastards were planning that shit?
There was a month where we said it. We were just saying, like, we're going to do this. And then, like, every time you were like, you'd be sitting there and you hadn't talked for like 2 minutes and you're like, I'm going to have a chip. And they'd be like, Johnny, what do you think about this? Right away. And we were definitely laughing about it and being like, we need to do this more.
Yay or nay? There's some people in the chat that think Roman's reign ends this weekend. Is that a possibility? Like, is that going to happen? Mine's definite no for me. But
if you'd have asked me a week ago, I'd have said abso-freaking-lutely. Now, I don't think so.
Yeah, I think they need stability right now, and Roman is the best thing they've got. And I mean, Cody's on the sidelines right now, and I think Cody is the next guy in the company, and Brock would just feel like 2 steps back, which, I mean, they are entirely capable of doing, and I wouldn't put it past them. But I don't think they'll, just give Brock the titles again, and, we rehash what we've done the past 7-8 years now. And I'm interested in the theory aspect, because I don't know what they're going to do with him. I don't see him going over Brock or Roman, and I don't know if do they put the belt on a baby face, 6 months down the road and then have him cash in? Did he lose power because Vince is gone?
We can start with giving him his name back.
Oh, please. Yes. People have 2 names.
I think we can give back lots of names now.
Yeah.
Although then again, is that really something that's going to happen when, a guy started as Hunter Hearst Helmsley and nobody knows that name anymore?
I had to explain that name to Kate today.
It just came to me. Big E. Why did they that's another one. Why did they fuck him over?
Oh, Big E is tremendous on Twitter, because every time they get rid of one guy's name, he's like, he'll tag them and he'll be like, come join the club.
See, I'll actually go on record as saying I prefer Big E.
I'm not against that one. I mean, Theory, Cesaro.
Oh, those ones are not good. Cesaro, I guess, of all of the ones, Big E and Cesaro are probably the 2 most palatable to me.
Yeah.
Because,
Sheamus deserved it. O'Shaughnessy doesn't roll off the tongue.
No. And it's too cliched sounding.
Well, now he's got the worst name in wrestling. That is his name though, isn't it? Claudio Castagnoli, or
that is
Claudio Castagnoli.
That is the name on his passport.
Sounds like an IndyCar driver.
That is the name on his passport. I mean, the guy is fully Swiss. Like, that's a very Swiss sounding name.
Swiss Money Holding, baby, and your new Ring of Honor world champion.
Well,
we'll see the belt tomorrow night.
Speaking of Ring of Honor, you can hear.
No, we're not letting you end the show, Sean. Let's talk about.
Karen, did you watch the pay-per-view?
Remove everyone.
Yeah, no, totally. I watched the pay-per-view. I watched it. It was great.
You can catch more wrestling talk at the Dark Match Drive, which is going to be a new show. Joining the channel. We talked about it earlier. Jer really couldn't be a part of it then. His throat's probably killing him now. But more details on that soon. The Overlook Drive-In starts August the 22nd, so we'll be looking to start the Dark Match Drive show probably right around that time, just in time for AEW All Out and SummerSlam, I believe.
SummerSlam is in 4 days, buddy.
July? What the fuck?
SummerSlam is Saturday night.
Yeah, we're like 3 days. We're like 4 days away from SummerSlam. It's ridiculous.
I think I'm out of the loop.
This is the first time they've ever done SummerSlam in July, so it's definitely.
I mean, granted, it is
we're all out of the
last
loop.
weekend of July, so it's just really it's not as early as we think. But hearing SummerSlam in July just sounds weird.
That is weird. The Overlook Drive-In begins February 22nd. We review The Shining. Look out for that. Looking to have a bunch of fun over there. Big shout out to Mike Bish and the Take One podcast. By the way, he has been interviewing cast members of Stranger Things, so head on over there and check that out. Johnny, where can everybody find you at, good sir?
Oh man, you can find me here, there, and everywhere. Bros Before Pros, the Inside Handoff Football Podcast, coming back to your lovely ear holes in probably about 3 weeks.
Cool.
Yeah, that
Tara,
sounds about right.
where can everybody find you at?
Me?
Yes.
You can find me on Twitter at Jamie Virtue. You can find me on Facebook. The Dark Match Drive is a wrestling Facebook page I run. I believe I've dropped the link properly. We'll see. But I post news, videos, all sorts of content. It's ridiculous how much I post there. I probably need more hobbies, but I'm okay with that. And it is connected to a Google Drive that I run for $10 a month. I upload dozens and dozens of hours of wrestling, other wrestling podcasts, videos, magazines, all sorts of wrestling content. And there's a Discord where we do live streaming of stuff and just wrestling all the time.
Can interact with me live during whatever random wrestling we're watching.
Yes.
Like the only person ever in there.
I was in there for
consistently
Raw last night, but I was the only one in there. That probably says more about me than everyone else.
You weren't alone. Mike was in there.
Oh yeah, true. Okay. But yeah, join the Dark Match Drive on Facebook. It's a good time. Everyone loves it. We're at, I think 89 people. So we're aiming for 100. Let's see if we can get to 100. And there's a contest on Dark Match Drive right now where if you invite a certain amount of people, if you create content for the Facebook page, you can be entered in a contest to win a PWT's gift card, among other things. So.
Awesome. Good stuff. Our Johnny's best friend, Terrence, in the chat says check out his TikTok. So, Terrence.
No, speaking of Terrence's thing, could you stay off my For You page, please? Seriously, every 6th video is Terrence. I'm tired of it. Stop that. Stay out of my For You page.
You'll have to talk to TikTok. Yeah, talk to those people. Fuck's sakes.
You can start a protest.
Kieran, where can everybody find you at, man?
I mean, you can find me on the show.
That's a good place.
Yeah.
House of the Empire. You can find him at House of the Empire, hopefully.
Oh, you can find me there sometimes.
So
in this economy?
House of the Empire's got all sorts of fucking shit out right now with there's a trailer, extended trailer, and 2 different sizzle reels. You want to look at that series, you can certainly have it right now if you want, and it looks spectacular. So check us out doing that thing. There's an episode dropping tomorrow, actually. So be on the lookout for that. For everybody that pitched in tonight, Mike Bish, Kate in the chat, Dean Renner in the chat, Chris for providing us with this lovely mask that he is working on. You can catch him on Twitter and Instagram, Chris C_78. What's the 78 stand for? Just kidding. That's going to do it for us tonight, everybody. Ciao.